You are tuned in to Making a Difference with Melissa Billy Clark. This show shares compelling stories and experiences of well-known faces and everyday people who change the world in big and small ways. Get ready to open your mind and your heart with Melissa Billy Clark.
We want to thank all the women who participated in our Women's Empowerment Month. We end with notable actor, director, producer, and artist Kathrine Narducci. We discuss what it takes to not only have success in her career, but in life. Kathrine Narducci is an established actor that's worked with legends of our time, such as Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Clint Eastwood. Her role was unforgettable as Charmaine in The Sopranos. Kathrine, how do you feel at this stage of the game in your career?
Blessed. Really, just blessed. Totally blessed. Happy to still be working.
Yeah.
As you know, women of a certain age in this business, it's not really like that too much anymore. But it's a little more short-lived than I would say a guy.
Yeah.
Man. But I'm happy to still be working and I mean, not that I'm old. I don't even know why I would say that, but I'm just happy. I feel very blessed.
Yeah, you've been in this industry for a long time now. I saw your interview with Chaz Palminteri on his show, the Chaz Palminteri Show, and you spoke about how you got into acting. And I love Chaz Palminteri, so please head over to his YouTube channel, and you can watch that episode. It was so cool to see you guys talking. It's like two old colleagues talking and reminiscing about the days. And Chaz, I was able to interview him for a cover shoot. So can you tell the audience how you started in acting? It was actually an accident.
I was a closet case actor. Mm-hmm. And I took my son my family didn't know that I was an actress, and I was going on auditions secretly. And then I took my son for an open call that De Niro had for A Bronx Tale to play the role of C. And while we were there, I realized that the role for the mother was at the same time the women started coming in, and I asked if I could audition, and that was the fluke. That's how it really happened. But I'm going to make that long story short, because I've told it 1,000 times.
I know.
I happened to be at the right place at the right time to get my foot in the door. And then P.S. I ended up getting the role playing opposite Robert De Niro in my first film. So
what were you doing?
A lucky Sag.
Yes. It's all about timing in life. Now, what were you doing before that, Kathrine?
I was working in the Hunts Point Terminal Market. I was working in the billing department. I was a single parent. And that was it. And I was acting on the side, doing everything that I could. I didn't even have headshots at the time. I took pictures of myself and blew them up. Like, it was so bad. But I was getting backstage, and I was doing everything that I could, like going on open calls and stuff like that, while I was working at the Hunts Point Terminal Market, to pay my bills.
Yeah. I know this is a really crazy question, but if this didn't happen, where would you see yourself if that luck didn't happen at that time? Do you ever think about that and get nervous because you were a single mom at the time?
I think about that. I do think about that, but I never seem to have an end where I come to a conclusion of where I would be, because I always feel like I would be doing something artistically, probably, but still trying to be an actor. I paint, obviously. I don't even know. I would probably maybe still have a regular job, but who knows? I was always an out of the box thinker, and I never could settle for ordinary, like 9 to 5. So I was doing that to be responsible, a single parent, and I don't know where I would be, but that is a good it's a good question, but I really don't know. I can't answer that. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I'm glad that you're out there and you're working, and this is the life, and this is the destiny that you were meant to do. And you keep getting jobs. You're a working woman and an actress, and we're so appreciative of that, because the films that you're in, they're amazing.
Thank
And the
you.
series and everything that you're in is they're wonderful.
Thank
No, thank you. Now, you give Robert De Niro credit for your career. What was the best advice that he gave to you?
Don't really listen to people's opinions and negativity. Like, just keep doing what you're doing, stay focused. Almost like they say today, do you. Just stay super focused and don't listen to the naysayers,
Yeah.
And then he said something else. What was the other thing he said that I loved? Oh, he said, just because you're playing and now he knew that that was my first film. So he was always giving me these really cool talks and advice. And he said, I want you to know, because he didn't want my hopes to be let down, because he knew how the business was. He said, just because you're playing my wife, I want you to know after this movie doesn't mean, you're going to just be a big movie star, in which he was right. He said, it's going to be hard. You got to keep going. And this will put your foot in the door. And that always kept me grounded. Like I take that with every job. Like, it's work. I do it. And whatever happens after that job, whatever that movie or TV series or whatever turns into, the universe is going to take care of it. It's going to be what it is. I don't count on it doing spectacular things, but the biggest event was showing up and doing the work. And that's what is my church, my love, my spirituality is in the arts.
Yeah. Chaz Palminteri said that in your interview. I really like that interview, by the way, because he brings up a lot of points, and just showing up. As long as you show up, you can, yeah. I love it, Kathrine.
I mean, I really believe that, like, you asked me that question, where do I think I would be? I feel like, in all honesty, I believe in weird, far out things that we could get into another time. But I honestly believe that you are born into, like, I was born to be exactly where I am right now, right? But I was actually born an actress. Those stars were gonna align because I just knew it from a young age, and it was just a feeling that I always had inside me, that when I would look out my window from a young girl living in Harlem, I would know that there was something up yonder, something beyond the horizon calling me. I didn't know what it was, but it felt like something magical, like something special, like there was something waiting. And at a young age, you don't know what that is, and then you get older, and then and then I would come to believe that, oh, I think I'm going to be an actor. And it's true.
You see, it's true.
And I'm going to be an actor, right? And it's exactly what they say in Italian. It's I think it's vocate. It's your calling. It's your calling. So that's the feeling that I would get through my whole life, that there's a calling for me, not knowing what it was going to be. So when I got older and I was like, oh, maybe I could be an actor, maybe I could, I would paint, I would do this, I would do that, I would, do any kind of when I'm younger, I'm talking about, like, to get attention, make people laugh, and do things always entertaining. It was just, I feel that calling that was my journey into finding what it was going to be, until the two things, my calling and my job, my vocation and my calling, came together. And that was the blessing. You're so blessed in life when your calling and your job, your vocation, become one. Then, like, what else is there? And then you got family, and you got love and your vocation that you love, it's like, that's it. I mean, what else is there really in life, right?
Right.
The three things. And I just feel like that's why I'm always, people like, you never get mad, you're always happy. I'm happy because of all the shit that I've been through in life. I feel completely blessed with every job that I get. I feel completely blessed. It sounds cheesy to just fucking wake up healthy every day, knock wood.
Love it.
I just know what it is to not have things or to be unhappy with the dysfunctional childhood that I have had, and to be where I am now, at peace, doing what I want to do.
Where do you go mentally when you're in a role?
Within my own self. Within my own self. Like, I was just telling a friend of mine, I was on a set, and last night I had this discussion, and it was a very busy, big set. And, I just wanted to stay calm and focused so that I could just be as real and natural and just be there and be in the moment and be in tune with myself. And it was just moving. It was loud. It was like, oh my God, no, move over here. And I was just like, oh my God. And even right there in the middle of it all, with the camera right there, ready to go, rolling, screaming, hair and makeup, doing last looks, I just don't care. I stop for a minute and I just say, wait, I need a minute. I need 1 minute. And I just take the breath, a couple of breaths, and just come right back inside me. Because if you're all up here, you're not going to be able to receive, or you're not going to be able to, acting is reacting. And if you're not clear up here, how could you even receive or give back? So I just meditate and go within myself.
Now, you're a talented painter. Let's talk about your work. You're in your art studio right now. Where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, I recently, because I started doing these kind of like abstract, weird portraits.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll show you this one right here. This one. So this is a couple, right? They're not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Two women. They're a couple.
Yeah, I love it.
It's or friends. They're whatever you want them, whatever you see.
Sure.
And they're not perfect. Their boobs are not perfect. Their faces are not perfect. All these imperfections on most of my paintings are because when people then look at my paintings and they go, oh my God, this one's beautiful. Oh my God, I love this one. Oh my God, I love this. I'm always thinking, isn't it funny? You're looking at these they're not perfect. It's not, what would they say? They call it hyperrealism.
Mm-hmm.
Not perfect. It's not hyperrealism. It's very distorted. And yet you think it's beautiful. But when we look in the mirror and we look much better than my paintings, we don't think we look beautiful. So with all the filters that were going on and people were distorting their faces with the filter, I mean, I think a little tweak here and there, but when you see these weird, it almost looks like the face is wiped out. There's no texture, it's just like wiped out, blown out, bigger eyes, huge. It's just like, I feel like it's that is like getting a little crazy. And I felt like going completely opposite of perfect and what we think perfect is. And instead of painting a beautiful body, I distorted it. And then I like seeing people's reactions saying, it's so beautiful. Oh, isn't that interesting? You think it's beautiful, but yet it's not perfect.
A lot of artists have the same word when describing when they're working, and that's free. What's a word for you, Kathrine, when you're doing your artwork?
When I'm in the middle of doing it, uninhibited. I bring my inner child into my studio, my church, I call it. And I just have fun.
I want to talk about a film that you directed called Bullied. I thought it was brilliant to get perspectives from the children's point of view. I'd like to show a clip.
It makes me feel like upset that kids are getting bullied because bullies are really mean. They really hurt kids' feelings or physically hurt them. So it makes me feel bad for the victim.
Well, it would make me feel hurt inside and feel like I wasn't a person, like a special person.
I've seen people getting bullied. Sometimes they get bullied in the bathrooms. They just push them against the walls. And one time when I had to go find a kid in the bathroom, there was blood on the wall. So I'm guessing that's because the bully or someone did something to an innocent kid.
Once my friend was getting bullied and I told the bully to stop and he stopped.
So you do fight for the underdog?
Yes.
What does an underdog mean to you?
Well, that would mean if someone's getting someone is being mean to someone else, I would help them out.
Stop bullying starting today.
So as a mother, how do you handle when a child says that they're being bullied?
You know, my kids, when they were younger, they were not bullied. So I never had that, but I did have my daughter, and I'll never forget it. And I think she remembers it, possibly. She came home from school one day and she said, you know, they're teasing this boy at school. He's got glasses. And I think the kid was a little slow. She said I remember something that they were bullying this kid. And I remember I said to I said, well, what would they do? She said they were all teasing him and throwing rocks at him in the schoolyard, and they were really bullying him. And I remember I said to her, well, what I want you to do tomorrow is I want you to go back to school and I want you to become friends with that kid. And I want you to tell everybody that kid is your friend. And, you know, he needs a friend. And think about it if that was you. And she went to school the next morning. And I always remember she came home the day after and she came over to me and she goes, guess what? I said, what? She goes, I became friends with that kid. And I remember I was so proud of her. She had to be 5 years old. And I said, oh my God, I was tears in my eyes. I was so happy. I said, that's so nice. And I mean, so I had that, you know, but I've never, thank God my kids were not that to my knowledge, they were not bullied.
Yeah. This story is based on a true story. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, this is my friend Frankie Capello, who is gay, and he grew up in Little Italy, which can be, back in the day, a hardcore kind of neighborhood to grow up in, I guess, if you were gay. And he was bullied as a kid. And he wrote this. It was, it's so short. It's 5 pages. And he said to me, it's a super short. He said, would you want to direct it? And I said, yeah. And at the last minute, I went down there. There was a camera guy. We talked about it. He had all these kids lined up that he had cast. And we just did it, you know? Yeah. And it was just about this kid being bullied and the one kid staying back after he was with the bullies, bullying this kid, and he stays back and the other kids are on the other side, and he's torn between whether to stay with the kid they just beat up and bullied or to go with his friends. And it's the road you're going to take. And it really defines who you're going to be. But he stays with the kid for about a beat, and they knock his toys on the floor and he hands it to the kid. And he's trying to show the kid, I feel you, I hear you, I'm not with this. And then he gives it to him, but then he goes, he leaves and he goes off with his friends. But it was my friend Frankie's, film. It was a little film, but it was very important to him. And
these are things that we have to deal with in life. But Yeah, thank you so much for that. You know, when I was bullied, I always thought it was about me. But I know as an adult it's not. So I say prayers. I have empathy for the people. Just not too long ago, I was bullied by a woman.
Wow.
Would you like to hear the story?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, I went to a Bravo network show and I was there for press for a notable publication. And this was a woman on one of the New York City housewives. And, you know, she's well over in her 60s. So I said, I had my phone. Now, when I go to my events, I'm like an old, I have this, I have a camera, a light set attached to it. So I look like a crazy person, but it works. It works for me. So I said, oh, you look so beautiful. May we take a photo together? And she said, she goes, ew, I'm not taking a photo with that phone. What kind of phone do you have? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I said, oh, Lord, what's going on right now? And then she had a sidekick with her. And they go, nobody's going to take a photo with you with that phone. And I was like, oh, my God.
The sidekick said it too?
I felt like two little girls were attacking me. Like, you don't know my financial stability. Like, you don't know me. So now I thought maybe because maybe she found out who the publication I was with, that maybe she did it to get inside of the publication and to misbehave. So I mean, I don't mind saying her name, Ramona Stinger, and I got stung by Ramona Stinger. For a 65-year-old woman to talk to me like that. I'm like, oh my God, this is still happening. So at the age of 41, which I am now, it still happens. But then I said, you know what? It's not me because she doesn't know me. And she's poking fun of my equipment. And I said, it's just her. She's an angry woman, which she shouldn't be. She's a beautiful woman, 65 years old. She looks gorgeous.
Wow. That is shaming. I mean, you were shamed because of that phone. It was shaming.
Yeah.
Shaming.
And I could have been Andy Cohen's cousin for all she knew. And for her to speak like that to someone. And then when I told like two other people, they're like, oh, she is just, and I wish she would, don't behave like that. You're a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
That's my bullying story.
Don't you want to show a beautiful soul? Like, show your beautiful soul. Why are you showing your dark side? It's like, that's your dark side. Like, that's such a low vibration attitude. I mean, I really believe in vibrations and our attitude and the vibration, you know, and we could be in a low vibration mode, which is negative. We could be feeling negative, and then everything around us is a very low vibration, not happiness, the opposite of happiness, the opposite of light. And you start going to that low vibration, which is self-loathing, victim, you know, it's like that don't work. That's not going to do anything for you. Nothing. Come crawl out of it and be light and give light. There was one person that I knew that every time I walked away, I'd go, ugh. I felt like I was in sludge. I was
yes.
Like, like I was in this vibration of like, get me out of this. It was like, and I always remember thinking, man, I don't want anybody walking away from me. And that's what I'm giving off. I want people to walk away and go, wow, I feel so good. Don't you love her energy? Like, I feel so good when I talk to Kathrine. Like, she lifts me, or she's always positive. And the last thing I want is somebody telling a story like that.
Can you imagine?
That I made them feel bad, or I bullied, or I did something. Like, that is not the energy that I want to give off in life.
I couldn't believe it at this stage in my game. I'm like, I don't even give out that frequency to people. I'm just thinking perhaps maybe it was because she knew the publication I was working with and she wanted to get on in there.
Whoa. Whoa.
Welcome to media, Kathrine. Welcome to media. This is the other side of the world. But thank you for letting me share that story with you. I wish Ramona the best. I really do. And just, be kind. You're a beautiful woman, and God bless you. So now,
when you turn it around like that, I like that you said that, because the one thing my mother used to say, if I say this one did this and this one did that and this one was mean, not even joking. My mother never gossiped. My mother was so opposite of a gossiper. very loving, very forgiving. Everybody used to say, oh, be my mom. Her cards were always, I wish you were my mom. You're my stepmom. The love. And she would always say, if I came home mad at somebody and she this and that, and she'd say, pray for her. Pray for her.
That's good, Mama. Yeah. Yep.
It gives you so much more power.
There was a wonderful short you told me about, Bricklayers Poet, that you produced, directed by Gino Gaffarelli. Caffarelli, pardon. And that ties into mom and dad. You lost your parents at a very young age. They were 34, dad was, and mom died at 50.
Yeah.
Let's get into that. So how did you cope, and how did you get through that? And how are you getting through that as an adult? I'm sorry for all the 3 questions.
No. Well, it's interesting. When my father died, I was so young. And I remember, my mother, first of all, she suffered from mental illness, and I'm not ashamed of that. And I'm okay talking about it. It's nothing to hide. It's
Thank
whatever.
you.
And all I remember is every time somebody died in my childhood, my mother would have a really severe nervous breakdown. I'm talking back then, there was Bellevue. That's where she would go off to. Complete nervous breakdown. When they told us that my father was killed, he was murdered, he was shot. I remember I was always my mother's caretaker when she would have a nervous breakdown. I'd follow her around and hang on to her like for dear life to make sure she didn't hurt herself. So when my father died, that affected me in a way that I almost didn't have time to, of course, it killed me. I was a kid. I lost my dad, but all my focus went right on to, oh Lord, I got to help this woman. Like, I have to be the caretaker. I got to help my mom. And so she's going to start having these nervous breakdowns, which she did.
How old were you when he passed away, Kathrine?
11.
11. Oh, wow. Thinking like that. Ugh.
Yeah. So I thought, okay. So here I was taking care of my mother. And then when my mother, who I was extremely very close to, like my best friend, when but my father's death affected me in that way, because then I just became overly consumed with constantly on a mission to take and save my mom. She was always trying to do crazy things, either kill herself or like hurt herself or do crazy things, just crazy. Yeah. So it was super focused on my mother, and that did something to me, which I still carry now as caretaker, always trying to help people, make sure everybody's okay. And that comes from that. Right. That affected me. And then my mother passing away was such a big eye opener, because I found my mother dead. She was 49. She had a heart attack, and at 50, she died. I left her in the morning. I lived with her. I said goodbye. No, I'm so sorry. I take that back. I left her in the morning. She was sleeping. She was in bed like this. I came back home. She must have got up, locked the door from the inside, went back to sleep. She just had open heart surgery.
Oh, wow.
I came back and the door was locked from the inside. I knew immediately she was dead in there, and she died from complications. Found her. And I just remember looking down at my mother and saying, and it sounds cold or weird, but I just remember looking at her laying in the bed saying, never went on a vacation, never had a dime, robbed Peter to pay Paul, poor her whole entire life, worked off the books, had nothing, no health insurance, just day by day she lived like that, but was happy. Yeah. Was a happy woman. So I remember going in the room and seeing her there, laying there dead, and going, okay. And I was working at the Hunts Point Terminal Market, and I wasn't an actor yet. And I remember just looking at her going, wow, thinking, Bunny Narducci. Her name was Bunans, but they called her Bunny. Bunny Narducci, dead, laying here, 50 years old, in an apartment. Never, this is the end chapter of her life. If you were reading the book,
Yes.
at the end chapter, she just dies in an apartment in the Bronx, penniless, broke, didn't do any of her dreams, and never traveled once. One time on a plane, I took her to Florida, never traveled again in her whole entire life, saying, here she laid with all this talent. Talk about a talented poet, beautiful voice singer, laying there with all this talent. Goes back to, you better get it out of you no matter where you are. If you have something inside you, you better do it. Show the world. But she lay there, and I'm thinking, Bunny Narducci, the last chapter of your life, dead in her room, didn't accomplish any of her dreams, didn't do any of her dreams. Talk about wasted talent. And just thinking, this is never going to happen to me. I'm never, ever going to let this happen to me. And something inside me just said, no, don't settle. Do not settle. Don't ever settle. Don't settle. Do everything you want. Don't ever let this be the last chapter of your life. Don't let it be. Don't let it be. And I mean it. It just lit a fire in me that is still burning strong. And it affected me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how precious life is.
Yeah.
50 years old. Come on.
Your children are very lucky to have you, to have this attitude and this, it's a positive attitude and a can-do attitude, and your mama would be proud of you. What do you have a relationship with them now? Like, do you talk to them? How is your relationship with them now? And I say that
parents.
Yeah, I say that spiritually because I still have both of my parents are deceased as well, and I still have a relationship with them, and it's different. And do you have that?
Well, look, here's my mother and my father.
Beautiful. Oh my God, that's your mom. You look just like your mama. So they're there watching you. They're there all the time.
Well, my mother, after my mother died, and she wrote beautiful poetry. And so my cousin, my mother's sister, Bunny and Bubby, funny enough, my cousin Roro, who's like my sister, my Aunt Bubby's daughter, she came and helped me clean out my mother's house. I moved from that apartment. I lived with my mother, but I moved. I couldn't stay there. Right. I moved. She helped me clean it out. When her mother died, my aunt, 5 years later, I went to my aunt's house and I helped my Roro clean out my mother's sister's house. And I'm going through papers. We're going through papers, and I never had closure with my mother because I left for work. I left my mother sleeping. Yeah. When I came back, I never had closure. And I'm going through papers, and I find a card. I see my mother's handwriting, and I see it's an index card, and it said, to my sister Bubby. And a line through it to correct it, she decided it wasn't just to Bubby. It said, to faraway family and friends.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And the poem goes like this. Have you ever been, first of all, this is for people who've lost people. Have you ever been in the house or something and you go, oh, you turn, like you feel something. It's not anything strong, but you feel like, ooh, like just something.
A presence that you
A
can't
presence.
see. Mm.
And I've always felt that. Like one time I was washing dishes and I felt like cold air on my neck. The hair stood up and I was like, oh my God. And I find this poem from my mother, Far Away Friends and Family, and it goes, from far away as conceivable, I have come. Like a breeze in the night, I have passed through your soul. My touch is light, almost non-existent, but I am too real to be ignored. My touch is light, almost non-existent.
Yeah.
But I am too real to be ignored. And that is exactly how it does feel, the way it's like a breeze in the night that's passed through your soul. It's that deep. You're like, whoa. And I found it and I read it and I just looked up at my cousin. She was across the room and I went, she's here.
Yeah.
She's here. And this gave me such comfort to know that they are with us.
Yeah.
They are with us, and it feels good to know that they're with us. I have a very strong relationship with more my mom than my dad. And I always then feel guilty and I throw my dad in, like if I'm talking like, oh God, I'm saying my prayers, and my father, like I just had such a crazy, very strong relationship with my mom that it's like, ugh. And, but that's exactly how it feels. So yeah, I do have a very strong spiritual relationship with them. It's very much alive.
I'm sorry that you lost them at such a young age. And I think it doesn't matter if you lose them when they're 80 or 8. I mean, it's.
Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, when somebody says to me, oh my God, my aunt just died or my mother died or father, it's like, how old? Oh, they were 85, they were 90, they were 70. I go, they lived another 20 years more and had another whole lifetime more than my mom. Like I think about my mother just turned 50, like, and the people live to 85. They're still robust. And my mother just lost out on so much. But
do you hear that hissing sound? It's not you doing with your mouth. I heard like a hissing sound. No. Sometimes I hear that when we talk about, and then like my video goes weird. We talk about that on this show and we always hear hissing. And my producer's a medium. He's not a medium, but his mother was a medium. So he has that gift and he'll tell me, wow. I got to time this. This is at 53. Okay. I want him to hear that. Okay. Thank you. So now back to Bricklayers Poet. So that's a really awesome film. And you are extremely sensitive in this film. You're sitting there and you're talking to this gentleman and there's a twist at the end. And I'd like for people to go over to YouTube and watch it. It's called Bricklayers Poet. And your scene was extremely intense. Mm-hmm. So what was going on in your head? What were you thinking and what was your takeaway from this role?
I just decided like Joe Maruso, my ex, we did a play together and we fell in love on this play on McDougal Street. And then he wrote this play called Bricklayers Poet after that. And they put it up. I forgot what theater they put it up. And then my friend Gino Caffarelli, I made him read that play. And he said, you know what? Let's do it as a short film. When we did it as a short film, they changed it a lot. And so the whole film, for people that don't know, it takes place in a bar. I decided it was Christmas Eve. And I'm an angel and I'm sitting there. In my mind, I made it that when he says, oh, I had the out-of-body experience and the cherub said, don't forget love. I decided that to make sense of it is that when he walked in the bar, I was waiting for him to walk in. I knew he was waiting. He was going to walk in. And I was waiting for him once again. And he comes and he's sitting there, and I can't tell him, I let him be, and he has to get all this out. And then at the end, then it's revealed. And I just put myself in a place of just love and light, like love and light and hope, because I felt for my backstory for him is that, for it to make sense for me, is that I felt he was feeling so depressed, maybe suicidal on Christmas Eve, as so many lonely people are that have no one. And then I saved him once before when he was building the fireplace, and then now again. And I willed him there so that he can come and I can help him once again. But by the end, we fall in love within that short period of time. But she's got to go because she's not real.
She's a messenger.
She said, right, there you go. And people may not get that, but that's what I had in my head. But I love that film so much. I think it's such a beautiful film. And we did very well in the film festivals with it.
Yeah.
Very well. People loved it.
It's a short scene. There's just two people having a dialect and talking, and you're very intense in it, and it's just wonderful to watch you like that. Do you feel like you have guardian angels around you?
I absolutely do, and I feel that there's something around me. I don't know what it is. Guardian angels, spirits, I guess maybe guardian angels are spirits. I always felt there was something way bigger than me guiding me. Yeah. Guiding me. Even as when I first felt them is when I was homeless as a kid, sleeping in Central Park with my mother and my sisters. I felt there was something. I would just look up at the sky and just go, ooh, there's something. It's going to be better. There's something so big out there waiting for me, and something so good. This is temporary. And as a kid, I knew it. I just knew, oh my God. When I looked at the sky, it was possibilities. And I feel like that was spirits or angels or whatever you want to call them, guardian angels, saying, don't worry, child. This is your journey. It's learning. It's the exploration to who you're going to be soon into the future. And I just look up at the sky and go, wow, everything's perfect up there. There's complete endless amounts of possibilities. Or I look into the ocean and just go, oh my God, there's so much to explore. There's so much out there. There's so much hope and so much good, and everything's so good out there. It's like, and that's how I always looked at life, the glass half full.
Yeah. What would you tell, this is the last question for you, what would you tell your little girl self?
I'd say you did good, kid. You did so good, and I love you, and we did good, and we're here, and we're still here, and you're still with me. I love you. You'll never die until my last breath.
Kathrine, thank you so much.
Bye.
This episode is sponsored by Preferred Health Magazine.
Hi, I'm Angelina Cappiello, publisher and editor-in-chief of Preferred Health Magazine. PHM hosts interviews with today's top physicians, experts in the healthcare industry, and some of today's most beloved celebrities. So head on over to www.preferredhealthmagazine.com today to receive your free digital subscription. And be sure to catch me on our new podcast, Talking Points with Preferred Health Magazine, streaming now on Spotify and YouTube.
Thank you for tuning in to Making a Difference. I'm your host, Melissa Billy Clark. If you'd like to learn more about our show, please visit our website at melissabillyclarkshow.com. If you'd like to sponsor or be a guest, email melissa@melissaclarkshow.com. Let's make a difference together.